Welcome back. Well, one of the big issues at the moment, obviously, is how cities are now trying to get their own power, to get electricity for the people and firms within their borders. You see Cape Town pushing this strongly. The city of Joburg held that energy in Durban last week. There are other cities that want to do this too. But trust me on this, it's expensive. And you need to get through certain licensing regulations as well. Leboganga Lechuba is with the South African Cities Network. Leboganga, good afternoon and thanks for your time. At the moment, just about all of the metros, in fact all of the metros, buy power from Eskom, they sell it on to their residents, they take the profit that they make, they use it to subsidize electricity for poorer people, and they use it to generate revenue for their other services. With what we're seeing around electricity at the moment, with independent power producers, this is going to change this financial model, this economic model, quite significantly.
Yeah, that is true. And good afternoon, Stephen, to you and your viewers at home, and thank you for having me. I think what's important to note is that municipalities can generate their own power of varying sizes when we speak in 9 megawatts. And we have already seen existing projects on landfill gas to electricity in municipalities such as eThekwini, City of Cape Town and Ekurhuleni, amongst others, which are municipal financed and owned projects, right? But I think if cities are able to generate their own power and renewable energy at a large scale, they can sell this off to their residents instead of selling them off to Eskom electricity and still be able to maintain their revenue streams. So I think what's important is that to note is that these projects are below 1 megawatts per facility, owing to the previous threshold limit of 1 megawatts. And we tend to refer to these projects as municipal scale projects, and they can be financed internally.
I mean, the threshold now, of course, from better generation being raised to 100 megawatts, but it is expensive to build a power station, whatever it is. That means that you need capital, unless, of course, you borrow the money from somewhere.
Yes, indeed. And I mean, we can also speak to some of the municipalities' financial positions. Some metros can afford to, develop their own renewable energy, and because they're simply in a better position. But I think there is work being done by the National Treasury City Support Program to also assist municipalities in different procurement mechanisms that could help them to develop these projects, right? And I think one of the mechanisms that's been explored is the municipal financed arrangement through public-private partnerships. And, there's still, however, a lot of internal municipal procurement processes that could make these processes a little bit different and difficult for cities to go about this process. But if we look at the new conditions that have been set by NERSA, that the threshold has been moved from 100 megawatts, as you alluded to, 100 megawatts. This means that the new generation plants below 100 megawatts will not require license and will have to be registered by NERSA.
We also have people and companies getting electricity for themselves. Some people have solar power on their roofs, whatever it is. That means that they're no longer buying electricity from the city. How important is that? Because these are people with means. So these are people who have been billed in the past. They now stop paying that bill because they're no longer using electricity from the city. What does that do to the financial model?
I think it is a challenge that our cities are facing. But at the end of the day, there is a need for our municipalities to get people to consume energy in a more efficient way and generate their own power so that we still keep people on the grid. And I think it's a definite risk that cities are looking at. And this is where now we look at what funds are being set aside by metros to help them look at alternative energies like solar projects. And then this will obviously eliminate the need for cities to engage with Eskom and get people to really start using electricity more efficiently.
We all know that load shedding is likely to get more intense. We don't know when it will end. But if some cities, maybe say one city, is able to mitigate load shedding more than others, in other words, it's able to make sure that there's never load shedding in that city, well, then the middle classes and every business organization that can move will probably move to that city. What I'm saying is that if one city does this, all the others need to do it too. Otherwise, we're going to have bigger inequality on a geographic basis in South Africa. So then, does that mean it's important that all cities sort of move at roughly the same speed on this?
Not necessarily, and I think with this event that we're having for the next 2 days with the Urban Energy Network, is to really have a conversation about how we can start to pull citizens and customers into the compact towards reinvigorating and transforming the energy sector, because it helps no city if we suddenly see a certain pool in one area just because the supply of energy is more efficient and reliable in one city versus the other. And this is where the conversation around all of society comes in, to say, what role does business play? What role do cities play? What role do citizens play in helping to really look at how we get our energy demands met? And what role do we play as citizens in our consumption? And what can we do together with our metros? But ideally, that's not a situation we want to see in the future, where there's a move from a certain area to another simply because there's just an unreliable source of power being generated.
Leboganga, there is so much talk about alternative ways of getting electricity at the moment, and I don't mean solar or renewables. I actually mean different financing, cities doing it rather than Eskom and all the rest. But it seems to all be moving very slowly. Do you think some of the cities are going to be moving quite quickly on this?
Yes, definitely. I mean, implementation on renewable energy can be interpreted in different ways. That is, there are many models that municipalities can utilize to participate in renewable energy implementation. I mean, there are already projects implemented, and these would need to be upscaled and replicated across municipality. But for participation in the procurement side, this will include providing wheeling services, that is transporting power between renewable energy generators and willing buyers of that renewable energy, for example, corporate companies as well. And we have examples of wheeling arrangements of that kind in Nelson Mandela Bay Metro. But I think ultimately it really does unfortunately boil down to a Metro's financial position. So in a case where Metro is not in a good financial position, we might see this renewable energy implementation, or even alternative energy, as you say, that uptake will be a bit slower.
Leboganga Lechuba, thank you very much indeed from the South African Cities Network. Do appreciate the time.